Hello, everyone. I can't hear. Let's see what's up. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Councilman.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Hello, everyone.
President Rosinetti, I think everybody's here if you want to get started.
Yes, it's 6 o'clock. Let's get started. Welcome everyone to Bingham City Council work session for Monday, May 17th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the
United
United
States
States of America
America.
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
that
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
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 under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Scaringi,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns,
present.
Councilman Strawn,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon,
Present.
and President Rosinetti.
Present.
That's all 7 here.
Okay, thank you. So we'll be starting tonight with Mary Ann Callahan and Steve Carson. We have a presentation, CDAC FY47 recommendations. So who's going next? Do I have Steve? Oh yeah, he's here. And there's Mary Ann.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Excellent. So Marianne is, I believe she's on. She is the chair of CDAC for this year. This year we had a bunch of issues dealing with both, with 3 things: COVID, a late run on 46 projects, and trying to get 47 done in a new method that will be sort of the basics on how we're going to proceed with things from now on. Typically, twice a year, CDAC will come and make recommendations, once for the overall budget and then in the fall for programs. But that's not really meeting with HUD requirements. So what will happen from here and from now on is the action plan budget will include all projects that will potentially be funded should the mayor choose to fund them so. But essentially, when you approve the action plan, you're approving if you're going to fund the Boys and Girls Club, what streets you're going to fund, what parks projects you're going to fund. So that's all was included this year. This year is also an 8-month action plan. This will run from January to August of next year. So the salaries may be slightly reduced because of that. But I think we were well under the maximums anyway. And then going from next year on, the project years, the HUD year will be September to August every year. So we'll come to you at this time, exactly as we're going to do now with all these projects, but the programs will actually be able to start hopefully in the fall. Couple of new issues, and Marianne will talk a little about that. One, program income. So when we sell or when mortgages are discharged, sometimes the people that got the mortgages with the city of Binghamton have to pay something back. That's called program income. To make things simpler, all program income from now on will go back into the program that generated it. That will help us prevent some issues we've had with HUD finances moving forward. You can always put more money into those programs, absolutely, but this way we're not going to determine program income is going to go to project X, Y, Z. It's all just going to go back to the original project that created it. Another big change this year, and Marianne will talk more about this, but we reached out to the mayor's office early on in the process to get the mayor's ideas on board with even the draft plan. So now the mayor has had input to this plan. So it will probably change somewhat before it comes back to you guys for final budget. This is not the final budget. This is just the recommendations. But understand, we've had the mayor's input on this. And finally, I made this recommendation with our home grant funds. Marianne can go into more on this, but we're looking at funding something called TBRA, TBRA, which is tenant-based rental assistance. The reason we're doing this is because we have to do certain things with home money, and the three main things you can do are CHOTO projects, and we don't have a huge CHOTO on the horizon, a home repair program, and although we have a huge waiting list, there simply aren't enough contractors in the area that are certified that can do our rehab work fast enough, especially with COVID. So my recommendation to CDAC, and they went with it, is what's called TBRA. And this is very similar to Section 8 rental assistance. I did reach out to Binghamton Housing Authority to see if they were on board with this. They would be. But basically what this would be is some rental assistance programs, much like their Section 8 program. The issue though is once you get someone on this program, their household is on this program and the city has to fund it from now until they're no longer on the program. The BHA suggests about a 25% turnover. So expect the number to go down quickly within the next few years. But after a while, we may have one family that just stayed on the TBRA program funded by the city, and we just would fund them every year. So what I'm saying is it's a commitment to funds in the future as well, using home funds. Does anyone have any questions about that before I turn over to Marianne for all the reasons they did this and that? Okay, then I'm done blabbing. Marianne?
Good evening. First, I want to say that it's really, you guys have somebody, a treasure in Steve. He's wonderful to work with. His expertise is broad and his patience is unlimited. He has worked us through a process that's rather complicated this year. And I want to let you guys know that rather than reading through the entire report, which my other computer that I had all set up just lost for me, I would just like to hit some high points and then I'll take questions if you guys have any. I want you to know that we looked hard and long at everything that we did, all the recommendations that we made. We have a very remarkable group this year who are always looking for better ways to do things. And we are very excited about some of the things that we might be doing next year to make the process even more refined than it is now. And as it was said by Steve, we're very happy that the mayor's office came to give us their recommendations. It's made things a lot easier for us to decide what to do. The other thing I want to let you guys know is we took the expertise of people who had expertise. We will look at the roads that we recommended that the mayor fund. We took those recommendations from the list of the woman who does those recommendations. When it comes to the emergency shelter grants, we took recommendations from the COC, which is the premier expertise in the area. So a lot of the recommendations that we made, we stood on the shoulders of other people to do those. Our human services budget is at its limit because human services in this area are very needful. And we funded that at the allowable limits. And you will notice that the $600,000 for Columbus Park was something that the mayor recommended for us. It was a little bit larger recommendation than we would normally make, but that's basically our review process in a nutshell. If anyone has any specific questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them, and what I cannot answer, I think Steve can.
Does anyone have any questions? Councilwoman Riley?
Yes, hi, good evening, Marianne and Steve.
Hello, how are you?
Good to see you. Now, when you have the phrase or the explanation, proved needed services, what does that mean to the reader? What are you trying to convey?
We're trying to convey that according to the block grant recommendations or the regulations, this is for a targeted population, and this is a need that we have identified in the community.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And we miss you at the meetings. I know, there's a conflict, I know.
City Council, yeah.
We got to do something about that, yeah.
Absolutely, you have my vote.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, Marianne. Do you know if Truth Farm applied for any money?
Yes, Truth Farm did, and we did not recommend that any funding go to Truth Farm at this time.
Because I know people personally whose lives they actually saved. I mean, they do. I mean, I may not agree with everything they, the way they operate, because I know a lot about people in recovery, but they are really on the front lines in this community of saving people's lives, and I wish you would take a second look at them.
One of the, as I said before, one of the things that we did with certain areas that we would lack a certain kind of expertise is we took the recommendations of others, and the COC, they are working. It is my understanding that they are working with Truth Farm right now to make sure that they meet all the requirements necessary to be eligible for a grant. And when that happens, we will definitely look at it again. But the other thing that we had to take into account is there is limited funding again. We don't have the money that we'd like to have. So once those things are done, we will take another look.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
I would like to say one thing for Councilman Burns, just so you're aware, this recommendation does include $45,000 to deal with the opioid crisis, and also approximately $57,000 to deal with homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing, two areas that Truth Farm was addressing. So please don't feel that we're just leaving those clientele out there.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Anyone else?
Madam President, before we jump
Yes.
off, can I just remind everybody the process going forward? So what will happen now, as Steve pointed out, these recommendations are given to City Council, they're given to the mayor's office. The mayor will then present a budget. We'll go through our budget process. Thankfully, everybody now has been through that 1 year. So you'll get a budget, it will come up at a work session. You can make motions to amend it. It will go to the floor the way you adopt it. The mayor can then veto, and you can override a veto. Right? But those are the next steps going forward. And Steve, what's our deadline?
July 15th.
Okay, so everybody has to keep that in mind. And I think if you look at the July calendar, I think you only have one scheduled meeting in July before the 15th. So in a perfect world, we'd like to move this forward, in June, so that your July 7th meeting at the latest, you can approve something.
And I would appreciate if City Council was to do a public hearing. I feel like I should do another ad for this in the paper to support the public outreach aspect of HUD programs.
And I think City Council generally does do a public hearing on this.
Yes, I believe so. Okay. Thank you, Ken and Steve and Marianne.
Thank you.
Oh, looks like,
Councilwoman
is there another question?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riley?
Yes, thank you, President
Yep.
Resignetti. Steve, if you can send us some more information about the tenant-based rental assistance program that you're initiating with this budget draft, that would be great, including some exemplars if you have it.
I will look into that and get you guys some samples of it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Ron and Chuck. We have RL 21-93 and 94.
Okay, this is Ron.
Hi, Ron.
We're looking for change order number 16 for Streeter Associates, who we've been using to clean up all the final details at the plant so we can get out of there. And this change order we had from the previous change order, we had 15,000 left over there off, so that's part of this. But the biggest part of this 320 is for the odor control covers on the primary settling tanks 1 through 6, which for some reason were not included on the plans, but I think everybody knows that we need to control odor over there. So that's about 200,000 of it. The rest are just miscellaneous things that were left off the plans that were taken care of. And as far as I know, this is it. When we finish this, I'm going to say we're done.
Any questions for Ron? Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, President Resonetti. Hi, Ron, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Why is this piece of legislation expedited?
Because we need to get out of there as soon as we can. Otherwise, we're holding up the contracts. I want to get out of there maybe in June or July, not in next September.
Mhm. Okay, so this is just, it's expedited to speed up the process?
To keep the contractor working. I don't want him to pull off.
Okay, and that might happen if there's a gap in, I guess.
It will happen if this lags very far.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, we'll move on to RL 21-94.
Ryan, I'll start off with this one here. 94 and 95 are together.
Okay.
94 is basically putting the funding in place to award the contract in 95. And basically this is for a flood mitigation project behind the Kmart building. A few years ago, we put money into a reserves for flood mitigation. And that's what we're asking to use here, is to take $106,893 out of that reserve in the general fund, transfer it to the capital fund, and spend it on fixing the Shenango Trail project behind Kmart. And Ron can talk a little bit more about what that project is. I can tell you that it's something that DEC wants done like last week.
The trail, where the trail went along the top of the levee, for whatever reasons unknown, the levee has settled 8 inches or a foot in certain spots. And the DEC and the Corps want that brought back up to where it was before we started walking on it. I don't know if we did it, but they want it brought back up, and they keep giving me not so nice reminders once or twice a week.
Any questions for Chucker Lake or Ron Lake? No? Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
So now we will move on to RL 21-91. Megan, are you with us?
I am. Thank you, Madam President.
Hi.
Hi. So this is another side lot program sale, a resolution authorizing the sale of 27 Edward Street to Bob Chan for $500. His proposal is to keep this a green space, lawn, flowers, and outdoor seating. Mr. Chan owns the property next door. And I'm asking for council to please consider expediting. I was out of the office for a couple weeks last month. And this, the 30-day window for other neighbors to submit offers closed during that time. My understanding is Mr. Chan is eager to get to work beautifying this space. So I told him that I would ask for it to be expedited.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
So we are now at RL 21-89.
I believe that is me.
Yes, it is you.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Steve.
Me again.
Yes, it's you again. Hi.
So this may seem like deja vu, not just for me talking about it, but me talking about this specifically. This is an amendment to an existing contract with Family Enrichment Network and also the YWCA for ESG COVID funds. The reason why we're doing this amendment is to shift funds around to hopefully expend the minimum amount we have to spend by September. I had gone to the COC and said, what can we do? Currently, we have all this money tied up with Family Enrichment Network for homelessness prevention. I don't know if I've talked about it here before, but right now we cannot use COVID funds for homelessness prevention because of the moratorium. You have to, for homelessness prevention, you have to have an eviction notice, and obviously no one can get an eviction notice right now. So we're going to basically convert a large chunk of the funds program to rapid rehousing to help individuals in the YWCA shelter, as well as right now essentially staying in hotels to get them in, hopefully get them into new units, which you can't do with HP, but you can do it with rapid rehousing. And we're also going to fund some additional funding for the YWC Street Outreach Program, as well as providing additional funds for both the Y and FIN to have a rapid rehousing part-time caseworker. Basically, we've been hearing issues of people having trouble working with the rental assistance agencies, including our own, getting paperwork, going to required meetings and so on like that, making copies. So the intention here is for both of those agencies to have someone in staff who's part-time go to full-time and utilize this additional funding to provide this to their clients. We're hoping that this will help out a lot with not only the people getting rental assistance, but hopefully to spend the funds that we need to spend by the end of September. So that's that. That's why I keep coming back to it, is we keep modifying these contracts.
Okay. Councilwoman Riley?
Yes. Hi, Steve. Again, this is Councilwoman Riley. Please remind us, we currently budgeted for how many employees with Family FEHN?
Family Enrichment Network. I believe we're funding currently, no full-time positions are we covering. So we're not covering anyone's 100% of anyone's salary, but I believe we have their rental assistance project director, their rental assistance caseworker, and some additional sort of administrative staff to do things. So this would provide an additional position or part-time position. I don't think they're getting enough money for a full-time position to assist in that. So instead of people being in an office answering phone calls and doing that paperwork, these people should actually be going out, meeting these people, helping them out. What do you need? What do you need to make copies of? Can I scan something? You need something faxed? You know, those kinds of things. You need help filling out the form. That's what the idea was for these additional positions.
Okay, so has that been most of the feedback you've received from those that have been awaiting a response post submitting the application, that perhaps increasing support in the office would expedite the process?
Not specifically from those people, but we're hearing it from stakeholders that people have been having trouble. I believe even you mentioned at one time at a meeting, people were having trouble filling out this paperwork. So all of this went in, and we kept hearing that consistently. People were having issues filling out the paperwork, or were feeling overwhelmed, or might not have access to a scanner or a printer. And that's kind of how we came up with this. And both the agencies seem to agree that that was a pretty good idea to do with this.
Okay. Well, what I shared with you was that there was a lag time in the response rate, responses. So if that person is going to help reduce some of that time, and again, support the needs of those clients, so we don't have the wait time and the burdens, the barriers to supporting those with the needs, that would be great.
Yep, and I'm hoping that'll clear that up. I will say that there is one bit burden, which I don't think we're going to be able to handle administratively or legislatively. One issue, and we've seen this over and over again, people that are in a situation where they need rental assistance aren't often able to keep a steady phone number, especially one with voicemail set up. So getting back in touch with those people has become difficult. I'm hoping that these new positions will, if they can't, they maybe be a little bit more aggressive on callbacks, or possibly even doing site visits with people, if that's possible as well.
Thank you.
RL 21-90.
Okay, so this is, I'm going to ask if this could please be expedited. I don't think, oh yeah, it was written at the top.
Yeah, it was.
This is the, I'm doing this on behalf of the mayor's office. This was, the mayor approved. It basically said that he was very comfortable with the way CDAC had done their job for the 46 service programs. Understand we're currently in 46, so we're behind the times on getting these agencies contracts and everything. But he was comfortable with the funding recommendations from CDAC. And so here are the numbers that he had approved. It's essentially the exact same one CDAC had approved back in February, I believe, or maybe early March when they came to city council. So I won't be able to defend them from the CDAC's perspective, but I might be able to talk in a more broader and general sense about why the fundings were set the way they were.
Any questions? Okay, let's move on to the last one here, 21-92.
All right. And essentially, this is the exact same thing I just spoken about, but instead of service programs, these are actually the capital projects. We actually didn't get anyone to apply for them last year. So we did a second round to try to get people, and we got several agencies that did apply. And these are the $65,000 worth of projects that were recommended by CDAC and then onto the mayor's office for for funding going forward. So it's the Boys and Girls Clubs, Pavilion, Family Planning Store, Greater Opportunities, exterior refurbishing. I think it's the soffit, the fascia stuff. And then the House of Worship is doing a new roof. We obviously can't pay for the whole roof there, but hopefully that will help offset some costs for that.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Steve.
Oh, I think.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilman Riley.
So please, for those that are watching, Steve, particularly the churches in our district, how does one church over the other become a benefactor or a recipient for funds to assist with capital improvements?
Okay, I think we had 2 or 3 churches apply. In order for, and we'll just say this in a general sense, in order for a religious institution to get assistance for a capital project, they must have a public facility. In this case, this church and the 2 other churches that had applied I think there's a recommendation for them getting funded in 47, which is next year. They have community kitchens. They serve community meals for free for the public. And so in that regards, for a capital project that affects the entire religious center, you can do a portion equivalent to the amount of the public facility, if that makes sense. If half your space is public facility and half your space is religious area, the city can pay for up to 50% of an overall project, so roof, boiler system, something like that. One church did ask for money for a ramp, which is being recommended next year. A ramp, anything that removes barriers for the disabled is almost always 100% reimbursable, even for a religious institution, because it's seen as helping a certain specific clientele, those who are disabled. So that can be 100% reimbursed. So going forward, we're going to be doing this, understand, and probably in the fall or winter, we're going to be doing applications. And so agencies, including churches that want to apply, feel free to apply. After this, I've actually already talked to one other religious institution that was looking for assistance as well. And I recommended, hey, look, we're going to be doing this next year. Please feel free to apply. So the word is getting out there.
Thank you for that clarification, Steve.
But yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Let's move on to RL 21-96. Lee, you're here.
Yes. Hi again, everyone. So we have RL 21-96, and it's amending the 2021 budget for a temporary part-time clerk in the clerk's office. We actually did a similar transfer like this for the treasurer's office to create a part-time clerk position a few weeks back. And this is to help kind of cover the gap between the deputy clerk position that's currently in the process of changing. And this will help train the new deputy clerk over the summer and help keep the office afloat. And does anyone have any questions?
Okay, doesn't look it like anyone has any questions. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on to discussion. Ken, are you here?
I am here.
Hi again.
Hello. So this was, if I remember, ordinance, was it 2141? So I don't have the packet up in front of me right now, but it was regarding the equipment foreman in the fire department. So in the legislation, what I had requested, but apparently I wasn't clear when I had made the request, what I was looking for was what the new salary was. But what I inserted into the legislation is the existing salary. So the existing salary is 51. It's supposed to be 54,543, and that was the $3,543,000 difference. But because it's going to be from May 10th to the end of the year, it'll actually be a little less than that. So at the meeting on Wednesday night, what I'll do is prepare a motion for reconsideration to make those corrections and to vote on the legislation again. Right? So the salary was wrong, but the increase, the 3,453 is exactly what it will be in 2022 in next year's budget. And that will be the new salary. So sorry about the confusion.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thanks, Ken.
Welcome.
So let's move on to pending legislation. Lee?
Yes, so we have two items pending for our Wednesday meeting. And it's amending the sanitary sewage budget for wastewater pump maintainer. And then the other one is our 2019 bond ordinance for the traffic signals. That one is going to have a public hearing with it on Wednesday.
Okay. Any questions or anything else? Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead, Councilman Burns.
So the public hearing is going to be about the bond ordinance that we're going to vote on?
That's correct.
Yeah, I just want to throw my 2 cents in that I don't see the reason for having public hearings on the same day you're going to vote when you don't know what, maybe there's something in the public hearing that's going to change your minds or our minds or something. So going forward, I make a motion that we have a public hearing and then vote on it the next time. Right, thanks.
I'll echo that sentiment. I very much agree with you, Councilman Burns.
That is a motion, so we can second. I second that motion.
There's no motion in the works.
Well, he made the motion.
I know.
Yeah, this isn't a business meeting.
Thank you. Anything else?
Can
If
I
not-
just give you, interestingly, Councilman, prior to, I believe it was 1992, in the city of Binghamton, you actually, why people get up and say, I asked for unanimous consideration? Because unless it was unanimous, you couldn't vote on it at the same meeting that it was introduced. And in 1992, city council changed that rule because they couldn't get things done quickly enough.
I'm going to call those people.
I can tell you who they are. They're still on the legislation.
Thank you. All right, with that, I guess I'll ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Night,
Have a good
everyone.
night. Good night.